the double countdown. I thought we were doing twofers on Thursday. Normally that's two for Tuesday, but you know what? It's Thirsty Thursday. And boy, oh boy, am I thirsty. We are thirst trapping on Thirsty Thursday today. Pow, 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 pew. Super fired up. How the hell is everybody doing? Ray's alongside me here. Happy birthday, Ryan DeMay, the big 4-0. One of life's great accomplishments.
Well, no. Yeah. One of life's great accomplishments because I'm 40 years old and I have a house that costs at least $500,000. And, you know, I was told in the cookbook for success in life and everything that's the real metric. Those are the two measuring sticks, boys.
Yeah. So I got a phone call today and I was complimented in one aspect. It was actually, the effort was to slight me. But come to find out, it was actually a compliment because I was accused of owning a home that only had a $300,000 value, when in reality, I actually bought my modular prefab here for $160,000. So, you know, if the fact that it's appraising that high is not teabag at all, we call that free equity, my friends. And you know what? I'm 36, so I still got 4 years. Maybe by then I'll get there. Because I'm not quite 40 yet. As a matter, I'll tell you what. Hey, J-Pink, let's start this off. Do you mind go ahead and playing that phone call real quick, and we'll get this up and going with
phone call
with the compliments. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You are a fucking pussy. So you want to go talk a bunch of shit and talk like you want to fucking talk to me. And then you won't even answer your fucking phone. You are a fucking coward. You don't even have a set of balls. You and your wife must be fucking lesbians. How about you call me back, get off your ass, and actually sit there and do something besides sit there and fucking record videos all day and post them online where nobody's going to fucking watch them because nobody knows about your Grass Factor podcast. Nobody gives a shit. There's a reason why your house is only $300,000 because you don't make much fucking money. And at 40 years old, you better have enough money to buy a house that's worth at least $500,000. So you definitely don't have shit. And you sit there and you talk like you're above the fucking law because you think you've got a fucking podcast that nobody's heard of. So if you want to fucking actually do something, you fucking talk to me, all right? You call me back. You want to beat my ass? I will fucking beat your ass. You come out here to Oklahoma, I will beat your ass in any fucking city. I don't care where the fuck it's at. I will put you in the guillotine and put your ass to sleep faster than you've ever fucking been to sleep in your fucking life. You got that? You fucking call me back, you damn coward.
No.
Sounds like he really wants to talk to you.
It does. Yeah. And, you know, I have that effect on people from time to time. It's fascinating. It's been that way for a large part of my life, and you know, it's one of those things you gotta you think about it and you're like, man, it's amazing the power I have over people. He's going off on me, Barry Kavanaugh. He's going off on me. Anyway, fascinating stuff there. We'll get more into that as it goes on because you know, it started well beyond that. But you know, first things first, look, you're right. I have a podcast no one listens to. Why are you worried about it? If no one listens to it, why are you worried about it? It's amazing. It's amazing. And yes,
point, right, Matt?
My wife and I are lesbians. They say you are what you eat. Therefore, I'm a snatch. That's funny. That's funny. Is this the lawn show? Are we answering questions today? What are we doing today?
I think so. I think we're answering.
We have mailbag that I got distracted in putting together because everything else caught fire.
Oh, okay.
So give me 2 minutes and I got mailbag questions that I feel like we should go through first.
Yeah, let's definitely go through those first. And then we'll, you know, as we'll move into this, we'll get a little bit further along into the chaos that has been my text messages and Facebook Messenger today, because it is something.
Lord.
It is
all from Sunday, right, Matt? All from Sunday.
No, that was because of Sunday. It has turned into this, and basically everything we have covered up to this point, or everything that we will cover today, it began at about lunch today, and has just progressively gone further and further. So I don't know. It's exciting. It's exciting. Aldo, that makes you. I don't, man. I think we call them heroes around this part. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
First things first here, J Pink says, I received my soil test results today and would like to know your recommendations. I received some sulfur from my neighbor, and I'm not sure of the apply rate per 1,000 square feet, how often to apply. I have TIFWay 419. I'm located in San Antonio, Texas, where it's 1,000 degrees. The sulfur is, Martin, 90% sulfur dispersal pastille. This is from Mr. Bottles. That is a label. Oh, here's the golly, I'm clicking all kinds of things and not what I need to be clicking. First things first is that this is a My Soil test, and I think we've covered this before. I'm gonna guess that you're new here, Jermaine, and so we're gonna put this to you nicely. And we cover this actually on the podcast that was released the other day about some of the issues we run into with My Soil. For instance, we have independently and through lab reports verified that the pH that you get from My Soil is not only inaccurate, there is a high degree of probability that it is wildly inaccurate, like not even remotely close to being within a margin of error that even makes sense, right? And so we're saying pH that could be off as much as 1.2 points. That's, you remember, pH is logarithmic, so that is a monumental mistake there. Like, that's not good. The other thing is that the way these nutrients are cited as being optimal, there is zero transparency from My Soil as to the correlation of how they determined that these test values are adequate. Are they in excess, or are they too light? We've asked for it before. In fact, when we first started talking about this is Ray and I back in the day, multiple years ago. We started talking about this. In fact, I got an email from one of the primary principals of My Soil, and they threatened me. They did one of those things where they were like,
picking up on a theme here.
Yeah, I know, right? Jeez.
Yeah.
It was like, we help support your business, and if you continue talking about our podcast, that'll go away. Talking about our podcast, if you continue talking about our product, it will go away. And so I did what I'm notoriously fairly good at, and I said, eat all of my balls and continue to talk about it. So here we are. Again, my issue with it is that I have no idea where these values come from that they determine are optimal, and no one in the world knows whether or not that's actually truly sufficient. So we're going to pretend that what is being reported here is good. This is good data. We don't know. I can tell you that I'm going to tell you right now, your pH is probably off half to a full point. You're in San Antonio, Texas. You're going to have extremely high pH soil. I'm going to the rest of it is all just a guessing game. Your calcium levels in San Antonio, Texas, are going to be off the chart high. This says 842. In reality, it's probably like 18,420. It's nothing you need to worry about, though, right? So we'll take it from the most basic level. What you need to worry about is your N, P, and K. It says your phosphorus is fine. And so what I would be applying is nitrogen and potassium. An easy way to do that is a 1-0-1 type of fertilizer, right? So it could be a 10-0-10, 20-0-20, 25-0-25. However you need to get it down. That's one way you can do it. And then you asked about sulfur, right? Because you gotta worry. Oh, the other thing too is that with your high pH, applying foliar micronutrients as you see fit, when you apply your N and K, probably going to give you that extra little wow factor, at least from a visual response aspect. For sulfur, it's pretty simple. Now this is San Antonio, Texas, and if you don't have irrigation, boy, that could be tough. Because Ray, talk to us about sulfur, getting it into the soil, and exactly what kind of water program that takes to make that happen.
Oh, to sum it up simply, when you start talking about applying 5 pounds of elemental sulfur as the sulfur pastilles per month, which is what's indicated when your soil pH is extremely high and you have irrigation or access to water, sum it up simply, Matt, you need a shit ton of water. And when I say a shit ton of water, I'm talking about a 2 or 3 inch flooding of water at the time of the sulfur application, and thereafter maintaining an inch to an inch and a half of irrigation up until the next sulfur application next month. That's a lot of water. And if you fail to do that, what can and is likely to happen is everywhere that sulfur pastille lands, it'll burn a nice big hole in the lawn. That's the nature of elemental sulfur. It's rather corrosive because this is what happens to sulfur out in the environment and on soil. The bacteria and the water combine with the water and combine with the sulfur to generate sulfuric acid in situ. So when you're talking about spreading elemental sulfur, you're talking about some spicy stuff or potentially spicy stuff.
It is. And again, be careful. That's all we're gonna say. Just be careful. Typically 5 pounds per 1,000 square feet during the growing season, right? So when it's warm outside, because you're relying on that conversion to sulfuric acid. So, you get it down 4 times in your growing season? You're in San Antonio, Texas, probably 5, 6 maybe. You'd be able to get
5
it
to 6
down.
times, Matt. Yep.
Yeah. And but again, if you're relying on rain to be the catalyst here, you may not be able to get that done. So I don't know. We'll see. We will see. The next one here, I got DMs flying all over the place. Where are we at here? Okay. The next one is JPink at your convenience. Can you send my soil results to Matt and team? Looking to start the process of lowering my pH for Tahoma 31 in zone 7A. I caught something Matt said in one of his podcasts about being careful with lower pH with citric acid. If your aluminum levels have certain, unfortunately, I don't see the results on my soil test. Matt did one application so far. I had the rain. 1 inch. Been planning this for some time now. Here goes. Soil has good moisture to start. Then had rain coming. So here's what I applied. Used 1/4 pound high yield brand wettable powder sulfur mixed separate, then applied to 4 gallons of water. Also separate mix applied half citric acid, actual weight of product, both then mixed together thoroughly in a throw zone sprayer and applied in tune with the rain. Also applied my wetting agent 2 days before with some AMS, separate from the citric and sulfur app. You can take a look at my results and see if anything is appreciated. Here, let me see. Going through here. Okay, there's is this, what am I looking at here? This is just a log. Yeah, this is just a log, right? That's not, I don't see a test here. So I think that's just a log. I don't understand. This is my soil results. I don't see.
There's a tab there that says soil analysis, and then it has nitrogen, potash, sulfur.
Oh, here we go.
Annual treatment needs, and you scroll down a little bit, and it's got results.
So right now your pH is 7.2. Your buffer pH is pretty high, 7.8. So you're in for the long haul here, buddy. It's not going to be a quick thing. It's not going to be a this year thing. It's not going to be a next year thing. Chances are 2 years of doing this, you could probably get it down to a 6.5 with a buffer pH of 7.8, right? Again, you're in 7A. not the hottest of environments. I think elemental sulfur 4 times a year is probably going to be in your wheelhouse there. Again, assuming that you can get adequate moisture to get that down. And yeah, I mean that's literally the only thing I would worry about in your lawn with your soil test right here is what is a potassium level of 215 up here is what it says. So yeah, you're good. Continue doing what you're doing. You can apply your what frequency would you continue with your citric acid, Ray, if you're at a pH of 7.2 and
I
a
would actually do
7.8
it.
buffer pH?
I would do it no more often than monthly because 7.2 is not that far off. And the other thing that I would be doing is, of all people that should learn how to do their own rapid but accurate soil pH tests. Because when you're talking about manipulating soil pH and you're close, it is so easy to overshoot it, drop it down to 6 or lower, and then introduce a toxicity issue. So he would be one where before he's about to make his next application of either sulfur or citric acid, he's the one that needs to grab a little bit of soil, mix it with some distilled water, and test it with a pH pen before proceeding further. Because I have worries about 7.2 quickly turning into 6 or 5.5.
Even with a buffer pH of 7.8, you think it'll move that fast?
It can move fast. I mean, citric acid has the ability to chelate and move all of that excessive calcium and calcium carbonate.
Sure.
And once you move that out of the soil mat, things happen fast. So this is not something to screw around with.
Sure.
I'm just saying.
I would
He's in the chat,
Ray's
and he said I can
there.
do that.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
I would trust Ray on that process. He's dealt with high pH soils. Ryan too. I don't. I'm always chilling around 5.8 right here and love it.
I love you because you know what, Matt? I would love to reintroduce you to Centipede, and this time do it right.
Don't make me go get my Centipede hat. We got to get our Centipede boys on here sooner than later. That's actually gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I mean that's
I look forward to it, kinda. Maybe I look forward to hanging out with the guys. I'm not sure I look forward to putting any more information about Centipede into my brain. Can I call him tapped out on that one, Demay? Can I call an audible, or is it like, oh, sorry, my brain shut down?
Control delete.
I need a blue screen of death right now. And from Gray Fox shared with us the Tennessee Turf Tuesday. We have Dr. Becky Bolin, who's taken over for Dr. Tom Samples. Sad day. But you know what? He has earned it. Tom Samples is 197 years old and has had a incredible career. I'll say this: there's few people that are as kind as Dr. Samples as is, and he may not remember who you are ever, but he always comes out of the gate as nice of a human being as you've ever met. There's not once will you ever run into Dr. Samples and leave thinking like, man, that guy's a jerk, which sometimes happens, right? In our industry, you meet people and you walk away from it and you're like, man, that guy's an asshole. Do you know how many people have walked away from meeting me and thinking I'm an asshole?
I thought you were going to say how many people.
Pussy.
Yes, exactly.
I just wondering how many people Bermuda lawn dominators feeling that way. I don't know.
I will probably share this in Bermuda Lawn Dominators. In the chat, we threw up the link to this video. I highly recommend you check it out. You know, when they release these on Tuesday, they're always really good. We get a lot of insight as to other things that are going on. Like they had a regulator on talking about issues with imidacloprid and what that uh, de I say deregulation. Um, what that regulation and removing it from the product portfolio is going to look at timeframes, all that fun stuff. And that's also one of the other ones. Speaking of what's on the chopping block for permanent removal is also MSMA. If you could imagine why,
Mm-hmm.
it's obvious why that's taking place. Um, all right, so J Pink, if you don't mind, will you throw up the first two screenshots here? We can do the first one first. Anyway, so on our episode that released yesterday, our Joe Knows Turf segment, we introduced y'all to a young man named Spencer, um, that was applying MSMA. He says he was not applying it to his lawn; he was applying it to a commercial property that has a right of way that is next to an interstate, and it's 3 feet by 100 feet, something like that. And we got it all wrong, right? And even though there was a separate post in Bermuda Lawn Dominators that also um, talked about him applying it, if I recall correctly, and I'm sure we can find the screenshot somewhere. I believe that we had another screenshot where he said he had applied it to his lawn and had a significant rain event after making his application, and was worried about it getting losing its efficacy due to the length of time between application and rainfall, right? And so here, he's starting to get in it, and basically what it is that if I do not remove that segment of Joe Knows Turf, I'm going to be sued for defamation. And says here that we made a lot of mistakes, and so my response to this was, we can go on to the second screen grab there. You kind of fill us in here. He explains exactly why he said the things he said. Uh, like calling a gay man, the F word. It's descriptive. It's nothing to worry about. It's a descriptor. Hot
sure
take.
About that?
Oof, mm. And it says, I'm sure you'll probably twist this in the next video, since you inherently think I'm an asshole. But I will say a lot of what you all said in your video was a lot of judging a book by its cover and not doing your due diligence. Okay, we'll let this progress and see exactly how that works out. So apparently, I made a bunch of mistakes. So we'll go on to the next one here. So I had not replied in a timely enough manner. And so, I told him, bear with me. I've got to type words. It takes time. And I said, I'm not having a panic attack, whatever. So I emailed him and, basically said, I did in fact come at you with a political survey to try and make it, to increase the odds of you having a conversation with me, considering how aggressive of a conversation it turned before, because of mentioning MSMA. I thought in this particular instance, well, let's come in with something not related to MSMA, and then we'll see if we can get there through the course of the conversation. Obviously didn't work, and just said, what I'm really interested in figuring out is, what you think can come of, applying MSMA to waterways and stuff like that. And, if you provide me the information that you feel like we do not conduct sufficient due diligence or you felt is defamatory, then it's definitely something we'll take into consideration. JPink, the next ones, we don't have to go through all of these, but I will at least just show that there is a lot of things here that was said in response. If you go to the next one, and these are the points here that we missed in due diligence, and I think this is interesting, right? So he said we did not have the full story. He says that Brian made a physical threat against him, and that's why he went that way. Number two is that we failed to receive both sides of the story again and do any sort of correlation to figure out what was true and what was misrepresented of fact before uploading the video. Okay. You included personal information and pictures of mine in your video without asking any sort of consent to do so. It was a public Facebook picture. In fact, I didn't answer is good because otherwise we would have a problem of recording a conversation without informing the other party. They're being recorded and used for production materials. We both live in states that are single consent states, so it does not have to be a mutual agreement. And then it says you failed to do due diligence to see I was applying MSMA. I'm a small business owner and have several properties that meet the criteria on the label. For example, one commercial property is considered right of way on a major highway. However, the grass is all confined to a median that spans 100 feet by 3 feet wide. No any 2.5 gallons of treat, a few small strips. Again, based on one of the other screenshots, we're not sure if that's accurate. And the other thing is too is if anybody is in Oklahoma, can find me the site where you can look up an applicator's license. I would like to verify that this is a licensed applicator. And then directly quoted the wrong number in your video saying I was selling 5 ounces for 40 when the post clearly said 5 ounces for $4. Yep, made that mistake, 100%. And then also didn't do any sort of research of who I was trying to sell to either. Hazmat chemicals and herbicides can be shipped, and my main intention was to sell locally. The post was edited to mention shipping as I had a lot of interest from Texas. So it was there's a lot of commercial properties down there too. So if I would have reached out, he was going to prove that there were commercial property uses in Texas that were reaching out to him to get it. He was transparent with them that it was toxic to animals and pets. He's got pets of his own, so he definitely wouldn't risk that. He missed the part on the label about repackaging. Understandable. Look, there's people that have done it before. I can be understanding of that. And then the act of terror comments were in response to someone approaching me as an asshole. Would I ever pour arsenic in a city water supply to get back on one person? Certainly not. It impacts wildlife and the entire community, not just one person. So you took it as an act of terror, but it's actually just me responding to an asshole of someone who approached me as an asshole. The statements on Liberalfornia and North Korea, following law doesn't make you a communist, but being a narc and commenting on everything you see that doesn't align with your ideals does make you a communist, apparently. That is interesting. As a business owner, I do play by the rules. Again, we just want to verify that this is a licensed applicator, by the way. A lot of people think the customer is always right. I'm not for that. If someone's an asshole to me, I'll be an asshole back. The MSMA was used on a commercial property and was used in its intended use. Then by all means, I don't believe I violated any laws by using it. Also, as far as selling it locally, I don't just hand it out to whoever wants it. I do my own due diligence to see how it will be used, as I don't want my local community getting doused irresponsibly by arsenic. Let's see here. I feel like, would have been covered before. Well, did I skip something here? No, I didn't. It just goes straight to this. Proper due diligence would have been contacting me, all that fun stuff. Had the information been entirely correct and not twisted to look like I'm using it irresponsibly on residential properties, then I would be entirely fine with that. But it's defamatory as it's false statements and includes misrepresentation of fact. So I gave him the opportunity. I said, you can come on tonight and you can provide rebuttal to what we talked about on the episode. And they said, no, I will not come on unless you delete all instances of me in the previous episode. And I said, no, I think it's important to provide context, what was stated before. And if you feel like we're wrong, then you can come on live on the show and explain how we're wrong. And that way everybody has the entirety of the story, to put together, however everyone views it. And said, look, nope, you are going to delete that if you want me to come on. I've consulted with my attorney already regarding the matter, and taking it down would prevent a defamation case and monetary damages. I'm willing to come on your show, that you can still have content, but the original content needs to come down. And I said, okay, I look forward to hearing from your attorney. And then said, I thought you'd rather work it out like a man than letting it go to court. I guess that's not the case. I need your email address. But you realize the longer that video is posted, the more monetary damages will be. And I'm willing to let that drop if you get the video corrected within 48 hours and I'll come live on your show. I said, yep, gave you the opportunity. You've got two options. You can come on the live stream, provide a rebuttal. We will discuss if we're going to remove any content after the fact, or we pursue this through legal means, 100% your choice. And then goes on to say, if you want to be a man, I highly recommend you do this. You don't want to mess with the time and travel. And I said, you have my two options. I'm no longer responding after this. It says you should reply because we would work it out as men. Otherwise, you'll be spending a lot of money for my attorney, my lost wages, also monetary damages for defamation, which could result in you paying me a stipend for years due to presumed reduction of income and a lot of time traveling and in court. The problem I have with your theory is that it doesn't guarantee it will come down, and my attorney won't allow me to appear or speak publicly on your show until that's removed. Compromise is that you provide me a signed contract stating you'll delete all the previous content, and then you'll have my new statements. And then from there, I did not respond, and it quickly devolved from here. So then it says, you better sell this, or do you want to be childish? If you resort to court, I'm not going to be lenient and drop charges. I'll pursue the full amount. I'll go as far as to not only seek defamation charges, but also false impersonation and fraud charges. You posing to work for Pew Research is blatant fraud. So you're looking at multiple charges, which I will not drop. Shall you refuse to continue discussing the matter? I'd suggest you grow a pair and learn to talk like men. And then he sent me my address that I guess he looked up via Google and was showing me that he found my address. And he says, you don't know what you just started, little man. I think you're big shit and above the law, but you're going to learn. I'm not giving you another warning. You can answer and talk to me off your show like a fucking man, or I'll end your podcast in court. Is that clear? As you violated multiple laws, I can not only come after you personally, especially as I'm assuming you're not bright enough to even register as an LLC and probably have no corporate veil to protect that measly little assets, but I can also come after your entity and shut down the grass factor for breaching laws on state and federal level. You're opening a can you don't want to mess with. You're going to realize not all people react rationally, and it's going to cost you big. And then he mentions my wife. My wife better watch it too, you fat fuck. You think you're tough shit? Come show your fucking face. I'll give you my address, and you can live stream getting your ass whooped since you called for it. If you don't want to call me back, I'll just come find you. It ain't hard. Talk a bunch of shit like you want to talk to me, and then you don't. You're just a hypocritical piece of shit who doesn't back up their talk. Attorney has you've committed 7 laws. You've broken 7 laws. My attorney has a copy. And then because I wasn't replying there, then he started texting me and said, you might want to start talking, buddy. Kind of repeats the first one. I got a few loose screws, and you may encounter them if you don't watch the fuck out. You won't be able to run, hide, even despite your loss of weight. Once a fat ass, always a fat ass. If you don't want to call me back, I'll just come find you. It ain't hard. Talk a bunch of shit. You're a hypocritical piece of shit. I dare to step 1 foot on my fucking property. I'll send you my address. You won't live to see another day. So anyway, that is the devolution of what has occurred since about lunchtime today. So we've gone from tainting municipal water supplies to my wife better watch her back. I better watch my back, and we've got a few loose screws here. And I don't know.
I have a very serious question.
What's going on? Yeah, man. What you got?
Spencer, I know you're watching, and cool. Thanks. Appreciate it. Are you okay? Like, seriously, like, are you okay? This it's not a way to be acting, man. So all you're trying to say is, you screwed up, admit it, and move on. It's fine. It's all good. You tried to sell some stuff you weren't supposed to sell. Whatever. It's all good, man.
And
just stop.
Just stop. Just don't do this. And it's funny, Matt, you should mention how the EPA is looking at yanking MSMA completely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Apparently they figured out that even though they've restricted its use to golf courses, sod farms, cotton fields, and highway right-of-ways, apparently to the EPA, there is still too much arsenic detectable in the environment. That is their actual reasoning and rationale, is that they are finding too much arsenic. And their only logical conclusion is that they're finding it in places where there should be no arsenic because there's no golf course, sod farm, or cotton field within miles of that site. And so what's their logical conclusion? If that's the case, Matt?
Yeah, because especially if you're in an area that doesn't have normally, detectable levels of arsenic. Again, I know some areas of the country are going to have higher levels of arsenic in the soil for various reasons. Like, for instance, I know that for certain companies that produce biochar, they could not take biomass from Ohio because typically the trees had a higher detectable level of arsenic in the trees. And probably from in the past, orchards or whatever else it was. Yes, and it, it is in a detectable level. Now, the beautiful thing about plants is that plants can take up arsenic, and it gives you an opportunity to dispose of it another place, right? So it can actually clean and remediate arsenic levels in the soil. So actually, kind of a plants are good in that aspect.
Yep.
Where are we going to go?
It's unfortunate that our podcast is so not widely known, but apparently, I did want to make mention of this too. I thought about this, that perhaps this idea of using this product in a manner inconsistent with the label was not Spencer's fault. That perhaps it was born somewhere else. And I'm going to say that Spencer may be a fan of the Pestilon Ginger. Have we not had this conversation before?
Yeah, we did, actually. Yeah, we had a whole thing over it. That's right.
So, anyhow.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, do you want to go ahead and open up the lines, JP? We can do that. We can start taking some phone calls, and we'll see what ends up happening. If it gets weird on the phones, we might have to dip the phones, and we'll do chat only questions. You never know at this point, right? You never know. It is we're in wild times right now. Welcome to 2023 in the post-COVID weirdness. Paul Prime's Cut. I love you, Paul. Paul Outlaw is my guy. He said, I have lived 51 years and never had 1/10 of the conflicts Matt has had. You are the man. It is, I'm telling you, it's bizarre. It is a strange thing. I don't know. Maybe one day when I get older, I'll learn how to shut up. That is not today. I just wanted to document everything. You know what would be great if we can make our ringtone is that guy's voicemail play when whoever's calling. That's what you hear. Wouldn't it be one? I probably need to do that on my personal cell phone.
And talk like you want to fucking talk to me.
Yes. That's whoever cut the clips out. God bless you. Good job, JP. Thank you. 304-804-72.
Fucking pussy.
Matt, why does he sound like he's 12 years old?
I don't know. It could be, right? It could be. I have no idea.
Why?
And if this guy is underage, I'm going to feel like a real asshole. Yeah.
I know. I mean, because...
Sorry, dude.
We did have an incident a couple years ago where, come to find out, some things were said to somebody that was underage. It was horrible. It was so bad, Matt. I mean, that was terrible. So it's I will say, if
Ray, we did have some questions people directed at you, asking about pH tests in the field, pH pen tests, and that kind of stuff. You got any suggestions for that?
Sure. I mean, my suggestion is get a pH pen and also get the calibration solutions and utilize the manufacturer's instructions on how to calibrate that pH pen. Also follow... Oh, we have a caller. Lovely.
Go ahead, cowboy.
Good evening, boys. It's Big Grass Thief.
Hey! Hey-o!
Good to talk to
you. Hey, thanks for the information. Because I was kind of concerned about that pH, and caught your previous video about the aluminum, the metals, and stuff like that. So, kind of risky taking a chance doing that, but now I kind of understand that it's going to take a while to drop that pH, which I kind of knew from the beginning from watching all the videos of Aldo's last one with one of the other YouTubers and stuff like that. I just wanted to make sure I'm kind of in that general area of doing it the correct way.
What is your pH again? What I couldn't remember what
he was.
It's 7.2.
Oh man, I'm telling you what, Grass Thief, I'm growing Tahoma on sand that's like 7.8, 7.9. It's calcareous sand, comes from limestone parent material. No problem whatsoever. No problem.
Oh, it likes the high. I'm not gonna say it likes the high pH, but no issues at all with the high pH.
Nope.
Damn. Did you hear that, Grass Thief?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, from the looks of the grass, I can't be more happier. Even though we had a terrible spring and summer, it didn't really get hot until like the second week here of July. Yep. But believe it or not, the stuff was greened up since April the 10th, and I couldn't be happier. But
dude,
I'm always looking to try to do better.
North, aren't you? Grass Thief, if I recall correctly, you're like up north, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in southern New Jersey.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You had green Bermuda grass in April. Does everybody hear that? Does everybody hear that?
April the 10th. I could send you pictures just to show you. I would never, mess around about that.
Tahoma 31 in South Jersey, April 10th. Everybody in these northern areas, and 7A, and I know, New Jersey is part of that 7A. I know you get some decent temperatures and a decent growing season out there, but still needs to factor into people's decision making if they're considering, to do a renovation. Man, golly, that's incredible. That's awesome.
I think it is catching fire, but I don't see it much on YouTube, but I think it's going to catch fire over the next couple of years. I got to say that Tahoma, it really is it's a special grass. It's real dwarfy. It's real dwarfy, and I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Up. Yep, it is pretty cool and fun to mess around with.
That may not catch on the other hand, because Tahoma is a grass that requires a different level of consideration and care. It's not for everybody. I mean, this is not for your junkyard type property where, mow it at 4.5, 5 inches, who cares? This is for people that are willing to put in the effort and the budget and have truly premium turf grass. I mean, this is what Tahoma is for.
There it is. Yep, absolutely, I agree. It is a big. It is big. It takes a lot of not a lot of work, but because I love it. I love what I do. I do use a reel mower. I mow it at 1/4 of an inch. It just loves to be cut real well.
Yes.
And I can cut it every day. See, I have full sun in my yard, and that has a lot to do with it. I mean, full sun all day long, and the stuff. I mean, I even plugged all summer, and the stuff took and grew. And I'm telling you, we had the worst summer ever so far, but it's starting to heat up now.
Man, I got to tell you, you have the most legitimate Jersey accent I've heard in a long time. It is impressive as hell.
Yeah, we got that a few months back. Ryan and Ray got a kick out of me when I called in. It's funny because they said, I forget what it was. I think they referenced the movie The Sopranos or something like that.
The Sopranos? No, actually, we referenced the darn Witness Protection Act.
Yeah, there you go.
Because normally, the people that talk like that are associated with La Familia.
Yes,
how Italian are you?
100% Italian.
Of course it is.
Yeah. That is why, okay, that we can hear it. I mean, that old East Coast Italian, and here's the thing: is that we know a YouTuber that is a wannabe mafioso. Okay, he's a wannabe mafioso, but Grass Thief, you are the real thing. And for that, we love you.
You have been designated
Feeling is mutual.
The made man of the lawn care community here, the Grass Thief.
Yeah, my son gave me that name. I'll tell you how I got it. Matt, you'll like this one, Matt. The side of my property is Meyer Zoysia, right? And it pushed out all the fescue that I originally had. And my son would watch me, and I'm like, and I'm telling him I'm plugging the Meyer and all, and he's like, Dad, that's the neighbors, but it's actually ours because it pushed out all the fescue, came up the side, and that's how he named me the Grass Thief years ago.
That's good.
Yeah. So anyway, I enjoy the show, guys. It's the best thing on YouTube. It's the best real information. And I don't miss an episode, man. I wait all week for this show. I can't get enough of it.
I appreciate you so much.
You guys rock.
That's wild.
I'm going to hang up the phone and let somebody else call in. And you guys have a great weekend.
Thank you. You have a good one, Grass Thief. Good to talk to you, buddy.
And JP, thank you very much for sending my info in. You're the man, JP.
Anytime.
No worries.
Look at that.
Grass Thief.
Look at that. Grass Thief.
How does he watch our show every week if nobody knows about our podcast? I don't understand.
I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. Can we get a rundown on that? I'm not sure.
I don't think my mom even watches this podcast.
I don't think mine does either. She did, and I don't think Mom's tuning in anymore. But in reality, Mom doesn't want to know a thing about
what's going on.
Growing grass.
Just hit the roadcaster buttons. Hit any of the roadcaster buttons, and Mama Martin's not going to want to hear that. I'm gonna guess.
No.
You are a fucking pussy.
Yes, that is right.
Wait a second. Is John Perry still on the board? Is
no,
he still there.
Wait,
surprise, motherfucker!
No, not that one.
Advise anybody who's thinking of doing this.
That one.
So that's the one I'm talking about. Listen, I don't care what your name is, where you're from. If you think that you should sell a pesticide in a non-original container because you have too much, because you want to make money, because whatever, John Perry, what do you think about that?
I would advise anybody who's thinking of doing this not to.
Even John Perry knows. Even Perry.
So John would never have the hot take we did, but John, when he sees that,
at least on video, he would do maybe in private.
Oh, 100% in private. Perry would be like, "Man, damn it, please don't do that online." It's what I love about John. We say the things out loud that John Perry doesn't want to, and
all that suppression.
I'm sure that he would love to echo a lot of our sentiments, and he can't. And I get it. I can't be mad at him for that. It is not easy. Phone lines are back open, 304-804-7277. If you have questions, feel free to call in. We can make horrific recommendations from time to time. Not all the time, but sometimes we can. But the majority of the time, thanks to the other two guys on here, you will get good information. Or you might catch us in something we just have no idea. And we'll tell you, you know what? We don't know. Get fucked. Good luck. Bye.
FAFO time.
That was
like Brian. Remember Brian?
It was just Justin.
Brian. He was real mad too. What mad people.
Oh yeah.
Whalen.
Controversial takes here. Brian went off the deep end too. Golly, I forgot about that.
Mad people.
Yeah, Bud Light gets people charged up in the wrong way. Trans fluid. Caller, you are on the air. How can we help you?
Go ahead, cowboy.
Never gets.
What's up, guys? It's the boy.
Hey, what you doing?
I'm chilling, man. I'm just I got really paranoid and I started looking up the equity of my house, and I'm so thankful it's over $100,000. And
over 100,000?
Hey,
no, half a million, big dog. $500,000.
Hey, listen.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, I know.
Gilly,
that's what I'm saying. I'm not there.
If Gilly is out there listening, along with young Spencer, just know that Aldo's house is worth $500,000 pesos. Okay. See.
Okay. And that makes me a legit millionaire.
Look at this. That means Aldo on all right, look, if you compared my house and Aldo's house, my house is pretty much a trailer at this point. That means that Aldo on welfare, supposedly, managed to acquire real estate that exceeded mine. It's
in California.
It's amazing. In California, of all places.
And in California on top of that. That's right.
That's
some people have a different name for that state.
Oh, that's right. It's Liberalfornia or California, which I do like California. That's fitting.
Are you listening? Are you missing? Are you missing class to be on this right now?
Yes.
I may or may not be. Yeah, but I can watch the replay. They record it, so I'm just misbehaving a little bit tonight because I couldn't miss tonight's show for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
It escalated quickly.
It got weird today, didn't it?
Yeah, sorry to disappoint, but yeah, maybe just this one time. Jesse said it was okay. I consulted with my legal attorney, and he said it was all right.
Yeah, that was funny. My attorney said the same thing. He's like, "It's okay. Everything's okay." I was like, "Sweet. That sounds like a hall pass to me." Well,
anyway,
what else you got?
I was just calling about. Actually, I have a grass question. I know in the past I called about some FAFO with some Poa trivialis, but that plan is not going to come to fruition. Some of you already heard that I was going to do some Kentucky bluegrass over the winter here, which I'm interested in seeing how that turns out since I'm in such a battle with time. Is not. I don't know if this will survive past the summer, but my question was, I know I've talked to Ryan in the past about like the seeding rate. He pretty much said 3 pounds per thousand is the only real way to go. Anything more than that was, and I quote, agronomically, the return in investment, would not make sense. And in my head, more seed, let's say 4, maybe 5 pounds, that could maybe work out, since I'm shooting for coverage rather than just maintaining it for a long period of time. But anyways, so there's one thing, is the seeding rate, one. And two, right now I have a bunch of dead ryegrass from the past winter and some dead Bermuda all over the backyard. And I'm not sure if it's worth removing it or using it to my advantage, because there's a pretty thick layer of sand under there. And I know what has been said about growing seed on straight sand. It can be pretty difficult. So I don't know if maybe there's some advantages to just leaving that old dead material on there. I don't know what you guys think.
I think you scalp it down still and prep it like you would for ryegrass overseed, but leave all the organic material, thatch, essentially in there, and use that as a seed bed, sort of a mulch, quasi mulch, can help keep everything where it should be, generally speaking, and it's going to be a lot easier to grow in. So, uh, I'd go all in on that. I'd be really cognizant of how you seed. If you're going to use bluegrass, of getting your seed down in there, just broadcasting out bluegrass seed isn't a recipe for absolute failure. It will not work. Bluegrass seed 100% needs to be not too deep and not too shallow. An eighth of an inch is really sounds super fine, detail, but those little differences make all the difference in the world in terms of seedling survival, establishment, even germination, right? Just simple things like the seed popping and getting going. So I'd be really, really cognizant of that. Problem is that there's really not a lot of great seeding equipment for a small scale lawn. There just isn't. Um, you'll go to Home Depot and rent, one of those Bluebird seed or something like that. It's not great of what's available out there. So I would look into and see, maybe talk to some of your classmates and see what they have at the golf course. Maybe somebody wants to make a quick 50 and run over there after work on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm. See what they'll do for tacos, Aldo. I'm not joking about that. Yeah, because Aldo makes some epic, authentic tacos. I mean, this is not the bullshit from Taco Bell. I can attest to that.
I hear you.
I mean,
so I got that, Ryan. Back to the other question was the seeding rate. How? Okay, because I have about 6 pounds of seed, closer to 7 pounds.
Coated or uncoated?
What's that?
Is it coated with a seed coating or no?
Oh, so about 3.5 pounds of it is coated. The other 3 is not coated.
This is like an ACT turf problem. Although you're really fucking me up here. No, all right.
So it's I got 3.5 pounds of SS 365.
Huh?
Or 365 SS, whatever, and then I have another 3 pounds of New Glade by itself.
Oh, wow. I'm gonna guess the New Glade is uncoated and the 365 SS is coated.
That's correct.
Okay. So, and what's the area that you're going over? What's the square footage?
1,200 square feet.
Oh, fuck. Okay. You're gonna seed both of those all in, because basically what's gonna happen is the coated.
I could do just one, but again, I'm asking what's the worst that could happen. I know that too much seed could cause crowding, but I don't want to do too much. But at the same time, it's like I have all this extra seed. I'm it's going to go to waste regardless.
I think that with with the coated seed, the seed folks will tell you, hey, go at the same rate you normally would. Problem is there's only 50% of the seeds there. So by weight in that bag, 50% of that is actually seed. That's not pure live seed either. That's just seed, right? That's in there. So in that 3.5 pounds, you've got 1.75 pounds of seed. Then you go and look at your New Glade, uncoated. Your losses, your attrition on something like that are probably going to be slightly higher, right? So a typical seeding rate on that would be somewhere around 3 pounds per thousand. Your extra pound, 1.75 pounds of coated 365, not going to hurt things appreciably. Sod farmers will typically seed at a lower rate, try to get their stuff to knit together more and have less density to start with. Kind of counterintuitive. I think with what you're trying to do, like 4 pounds per thousand is probably the upper limit when you combine those two. So you might have a little bit of extra seed, a little bit of extra New Glade, perhaps. But that's about as high as I would go. If you threw it all out there, I wouldn't hate you for it, but 4 pounds is probably your top.
Yeah, I wanted to save some, I don't know, like a half pound of anything. Just because, strangely enough, our rainy season is during the late fall, early winter. And I'm probably going to come after my feeding window. So I'm just going to be on irrigation. But I know in the past I've had some pretty crazy rains. And crazy, I mean like a half an inch, right? But some seed movement would happen with the ryegrass, and I had to go back there and throw some extra seed in there. Luckily that I saved, so this time around I think I know better. Save just a little bit to where I can just throw down in there and at least try to get some better coverage.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah.
Gosh, ryegrass in Southern California, or Kentucky bluegrass in Southern California. This is it'll be a sight to see.
I just want to get something else. I've got experiences with a handful of grasses. The only cool season grass I've ever messed with is ryegrass. I don't know. I mean, why not? It'll grow throughout the entire winter, so maybe I have something going on here.
I think the biggest problem is right about the time you fall in love with it is the time it's going to check out and literally just melt away right in front of your eyes.
What I'm curious about, though, is what kind of splotchy mess returns the next fall. I think it is hellaciously chaotic.
I think, what if I did, to a limit, right? I'm not going to water it, just hoping it doesn't check out. But how much can I get to survive to where I could potentially get it to fill in again for next year? I don't know. I'm curious.
No, you're not going to get it to fill in the next year without seeding, 100%. Now, one of the other concerns I have, and I have no experience with this, so I'm leaning on you, Dwayne. I'm asking you, really, would you expect any weird thinning to take place as the KBG checks out?
Would I do any thinning? Is that the question?
No. Would you expect to see it? That just kind of naturally occurs. Like it looks like the Bermuda grass has lost a bit of density as the KBG checks out.
Yeah, it's going to get to a point. I think the thing that'll be interesting is it's effectively Bermuda, but it's a much more hospitable climate to establish bluegrass, although it's a much, much more inhospitable environment for bluegrass in the summertime. I think by I think you might still see some there in the summertime, but I would agree. I think the following fall, it's going to look really bad. The good news is that you have a long enough runway with your temperatures that you can probably still clean it up and have enough time to seed with like a sulfonylurea. So that would be something to hang on to in your back pocket if you're not going to keep going with it. I don't know. I'm very curious about that time period of because when does it start to cool back off again? Like when is it below 100 consistently during the day?
Daytime temps?
Yeah.
Probably Halloween.
Halloween.
It's gonna be interesting.
I'm gonna say this. I'm prepared for that.
Here's what I'm gonna tell you though. Anything that comes back in September, October, November, just go ahead and plug that out, and I want you to send that to Pradham Co-op, who owns Mountain View Seed up in Oregon, and let them breed that, please.
Yeah. We'll call that. I don't know. Throw in some kind of welfare name on the cultivar or something like that.
Yeah, EBT KBG.
EBT, yes, right there.
We'll do it. All right, guys. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Thanks for skipping class.
No problem, guys.
Hey, listen. Hopefully, I just have I have one question for you before you leave. Have you checked your net worth today?
Will I check my net worth?
Have you checked your net worth?
I have not, but I should.
The
$500,000 or bust, big dog.
Thanks, guys.
I got a long way to go. Hey, have a good night.
Good night, Aldo.
There's nothing like the desert of California getting in on a little bit of taking advantage of the rainy season to get into Kentucky bluegrass. I'm real curious to watch this over the next year.
The end stage of that.
He did the Bermuda here, and it was one of those things where the Bermuda was on. It looked great, but it was that time period of getting the Bermuda back on. Yep, we're in the transition zone,
pimple-faced
right?
teenager.
If it was, what's the word I'm looking for here? You never saw that full transition back to Bermuda, right? Like, and where the Kentucky bluegrass hung around, exactly like you said, looked like a pimple-faced teenager, looked like me at 10 years old. It was weird because I had a hairy chest at 10. Strange. 304-804-7277. That is 304-80-GRASS. That is 304-8047-ASS. If you're a man like me, a big fan of ass, then there it is. If you, well, I do want to call it. Let's see how it happens.
Go ahead, cowboy.
I love it. I love it so much. Cowboy?
Speak, Paul.
What's up?
Hey,
there he is.
What are you doing?
Oh, there's a big delay on the TV. You threw me off.
No. Oh, it's Paul Outlaw.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing, Paul? How are you?
Right now, I'm sitting outside watching a couple of boobs, drinking some beers.
How have you been surviving the sweltering summer over the last couple weeks?
It's been sweltering. It's been sweltering. It was a little slow coming on, but it's definitely sweltering.
How are your Bermuda lawns responding now? I know you had a wild ass green up period that was headbanging. Where are we at now?
They're growing now. They're growing. Filling in, growing, all that stuff. I'm seeing a little bit of a weird fungus. I'd say it's some kind of bipolaris, but the university folks here say it's a dollar spot, but I don't know. But especially in the Tiff Tufts, what I'm seeing. But overall, the warm season's finally kicked around. The fescues are actually hanging in tough in the heat right now. So everything's coming up roses, man. What can I say?
So you're saying that's primarily in the Tiff Tuff that it's happening? You're thinking it's more along the lines of leaf spot. They're calling it dollar spot.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Interesting, Paul. Interesting.
Yeah, Ray, I'm going to ask you about this. One of the critiques of Tiff Tuff that you hear so many people complain about. I think about Sean, right? Is in a lackluster response to fertility, right? You can hammer it with all the nitrogen in the world you want, but as far as getting that nice Bermuda aesthetic color, it's just not a big responder. Do you think that may be factoring into this?
Okay, here's where I kind of like go down some decision trees and flowcharts and whatever, and here's what I've seen about Bermuda in that if your soil pH is too low, Bermuda has issues.
Definitely got that.
Okay, Paul, and when your soil pH is low, then your nitrogen and phosphorus fertility is not as efficient as what it could be. And when your nitrogen and phosphorus fertility is not optimum, then you start to see the random dollar spot type disease. And I differentiate that from leaf spot because I normally associate leaf spot with too much humidity, too much water, and not enough sun on the Bermuda. Then you're going to get visited by leaf spot. However, if a lawn is being mowed regularly, but it's not getting enough nitrogen, that's when I start to see more dollar spot come out. And you know how I diagnose dollar spot? I look at the grass first thing in the morning, and if I see the white mycelia from the dollar spot on the grass first thing in the morning, that tells me I don't see mycelia with leaf spot. I just see the spotting of the grass leaves followed by the patching from the grass, getting infected and dying. But then with the dollar spot, I see the mycelia before and in conjunction with the grass having the classical dollar spot type look. And this gets important because the way you treat dollar spot can be very different from the way you treat leaf spot.
All right. Dollar spot, we usually go no strobilurins. And
right, take out that azoxy. Yeah, take out the azoxy, and especially azoxystrobin. Think hard about applying azoxystrobin to a lawn that potentially has dollar spot, and that is kind of why, overall, I'm a fan of, say, Armada. If I want to do a catch-all, cover-all type fungicide, because trifloxystrobin tends not to flare dollar spot versus the azoxystrobin. That's the difference. And of course, the tridimethon or balaton in that Armada is lights out on dollar spot. It's a very strong fungicide for it. So that's one way to go. The expensive way to go is with the newer fungicide Velista or Exemplar. That's the costly way to go, but then that works well too. However, if you're absolutely 100% very sure that it is dollar spot, not dollar spot and it's leaf spot, then you can bring out the azoxy. Then you're okay to do it. But then, like I said, I would make sure
like
first.
It's leaf spot, especially on a lot of these tough, low pH yards. They're not getting the, like you said, they're not responding as adequately to the nitrogen and growing it out. And I really feel like that's it. But sometimes when you try to come up with something contrary to what the PhDs say, that you'll get kicked down. But on the other note,
you know what?
I want to start real mowing my yard. I'm not sure I have time for it yet. Way too big to push. I've had an opportunity to get one of the. It was a John Deere. I can't remember the model number, but it had the motor on the front and the three reels and the three wheels.
Actually, this was
and
trim triplex.
I missed
this
out
is
on. I had surgery, and the guy sold the damn thing before I could get to him. But
this is actual triplex.
What I need?
Yeah, trim triplex. Trim triplex, Matt. He could have gotten a trim triplex, and
damn, you're getting a real ride on.
The thing about the trim triplex is that my caution is to make sure that the trim triplex, Paul, is like the 6 or 8 blade on the reel rather than the 11 or 14, because there's triplexes that are intended for green use, and then there's triplex intended for fairway, tee, and non-play area use. You got to make sure that you know the difference and go accordingly, because the beauty of the 6 or 8 blade reel cutting units is that you can easily and safely put those on a lawn and mow it like 3/4 of an inch, and the finish comes out beautiful. You put an 11 blade reel on the lawn and you're mowing at 3/4 of an inch, the cut can come out hideous. Caution. Yeah, caution.
This was I remember that this was a 5 blade, but I mean that one got away from me. But I will keep looking.
Keep trying. Yeah, keep trying.
Yeah.
And your yard is Rio?
The back's got some Tiff Tough, and mixed things. The front is mostly the Monaco.
Oh, that's right, Monaco. Monaco
Bermuda.
Mm-hmm.
Monaco Bermuda. Yeah, that.
And you know the thing about I mean, the Monaco. I've got some spots in the front that are not the Monaco and are some other seeded Bermuda, and the Monaco is pretty strong. I can't tell it from a hybrid Bermuda, to be honest.
That's wild as hell to me. Yeah, I mean, because most seeded varieties, like even the good ones, you know, it's just that you still could see just enough of it to know that it was seeded, right? And that was always, you know, kind of the big thing of it, right? Is like, if you go vegetarian,
I'll send you some pictures of this Monaco when I think about it, Matt. But I mean, I was kind of blown away by it too. It's super tight, super tight.
Well,
I mean, I think that's a testament to how badass genetics are getting, and the importance of genetics too when choosing cultivars, right?
Yeah, because Matt, I can tell you about.
Oh yeah.
About like the other seeded like Riviera or Rio Bermuda. To me, those are coming close.
It ain't even close.
Coming close to.
Yeah. They had it at the seed test farm is not too far from my house, and I can go up there and see what she's working on up there, and she's got some Bermudas that she's working on, plus, you know, Riviera, Tiff Tough, Princess, all that in plots, and side by side, you can pick because you'll have several plots out that are unlabeled, and I can go through and pick out the Monaco every time. It looks just like a house.
What height of cut are you considering? I'm curious.
I mean, right now I'm cutting it with a rotary, so I mean I can't get it much lower than
no. I mean, when you get the reel,
I would like to get it at I mean, I don't see having the time to cut it much more than 2, possibly 3 times a week. So
sure.
I mean, half an inch or so is going to be probably the best I'll ever get it. So I retire.
Here's what I'm going to tell you about seeded common Bermuda is normally those perform best at between 5/8 to 3/4. There's no need to go half inch because half inch is getting into the territory of your veg propagated hybrids. Whereas if it's from a seed, you can keep that between 5/8 and 3/4 inch all day long with minimal headache or stress. And that's with a twice a week mow or even a once a week mow. If you put that turf on go to sleep, Paul, put it on a little bit of go to sleep, and you're looking at a once a week mowing. But that's the next thing is that if you have a seeded variety of Bermuda, that opens up usage of things like, say, Cutlass on the Bermuda, or the combination product called Legacy, to just put it on prolonged regulation. And I say that over using something like just straight Trinexapac, because the problem with Trinexapac in the warmer parts of the U.S. is that Trinexapac by itself doesn't last. You become committed to applying every 10 to 14 days. Whereas if you get it on a little bit of Cutlass, that's once a month. PGR. Yeah.
Well, that definitely changes the PGR program. Yeah, that I'm interested.
And by the way, Paul, that Cutlass is how and why I'm able to disappear and come to Louisville for a week. That's how I do it.
Hey, are you going to be in Louisville?
Yeah, if I'm invited, sure.
All right, because look, are you? Can you see the screen right now?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
All right, J Pink, will you throw up those pictures again? There's something about this that I think this is one of those important pictures that everyone needs to let, I'll say, sink in.
This one?
Yes. It's going to be on a little bit of a delay before he can see it. But this right here is why people need to go see Paul at the GIE. If you've ever had this happen to you, there are options that you can take that you never have to experience this ever again. And you can fit right through that gate behind
You're right.
in front of it.
Farmer
No problem.
would that would never happen to a Farmer Green.
Never. Isn't that impressive?
Never. That is impressive.
I mean, don't get me wrong, cool looking machine. I'm sure it's functional as hell, but Lord have mercy, when you have to chain it to get it out of a yard in the middle of summer, that's a bad day. That's a real bad day.
It is a bad day. Oh my! Oh, look at that. Yeah, that'll never happen to a Farmer Green.
All right, Paul. I can't wait to see you in Louisville.
Exactly why the people need to come see me at the GIE, so I can show them the other side. How, if your permagreen starts to slip or whatever, you just jump off of it and push it out of the situation.
Literally. And if you complain about your shoulders hurting doing it, then you're probably too big of a sissy to be treating lawns. How about that? I'll die on this hill.
You probably need a tampon.
Hey, how are you doing post surgery? How you feeling?
Say that again, Matt. You broke up on me.
How you feeling post surgery?
Wicked. It's got its high points and low points, but I'm getting around a bit, but I'm struggling some too. But everything will be back to normal here soon, I hope.
Mm-hmm.
Are you walking around and stuff, or are you still hobbling pretty aggressively?
I'm trying to work. I work today. Oh man, we had some tornadoes come through yesterday. I mean, like a mile from your house, man.
I saw that.
It was crazy,
shit.
Man. I had some customer. I mean, luckily nobody was hurt, and I mean, as far as my customers, none of them lost their house. A big landscape mowing contractor in town, it got his house, but
Shit.
I mean,
that is not
and his business, but I think he's going to be just fine. But it also got a big Pfizer plant in town. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, waxed it, dude.
What are the chances? Y'all don't get a lot of that kind of weather, do you?
And no, not this time. I mean, sometimes you have a springtime tornado or something, but in the middle of the summer like this, I mean, it was close, dude. It's a close call, but like I said, I had some customers lose some trees and stuff, and get lose power and things like that. But amazingly, nobody was killed or seriously hurt from this thing here.
Well, thank God. Good Lord Almighty.
Yeah.
Glad you're all right. Especially coming out of surgery and then you get hit by a tornado. That's what would happen to me, Paul, and you know that.
I know, man. Well, oddly enough, I had gone out the day before and done a lot of work, and my leg was hurting and it had swollen all up, and I had laid in the bed a little late that morning. My wife was like, "You need to take some of these checks to the bank from all this hard work I've been doing." So I went to the bank and was on my way back and saw the damn tornado. I mean, I missed the tornado driving back from the bank by like a minute maybe, and it missed my house by maybe a mile and a half, probably a mile, something like that. But yeah, I saw it roll right through. I stopped at the gas station to get a drink and looked up, and there she went.
Lord have mercy! What are the chances?
Yeah, I know, crazy. I've never seen anything like that before.
Well, I'm glad you're all right. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad everybody else is all right. I mean, people lost their homes and stuff, and we're probably going to have a massive medicine shortage from the Pfizer plant getting waxed. But
shit,
it's always got to be something.
It is. It's good to talk to you, Paul.
Yeah, you guys too, man. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you. Thank you. And man, legit, I hope I get to run into you at in Louisville. We need to have some beers and slap stickers on walls and all that fun shit.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the Permagreen folks keep me way out of town. So I don't get in trouble. Oh God, we did get in trouble last year, but I'll tell you about it later. But anyway.
Oh man. Oh man.
That's right. I'll ping Dan and we'll get something to set out to get you set up and free and then we'll drink a peanut butter whiskey or some deal.
Ooh, no thanks. All right, but yeah, we can get together, but leave the peanut butter stuff out of it. All right, man. You guys take it easy. Thanks for having me on.
All right.
Keep it up. Later.
It was funny.
Later.
Paul came over one year at the GIE, and one of the other guys there had he came out with a bottle of Screwball, which is that peanut butter whiskey, and we all kind of looked at it cross-eyed and like, what? And we drank it. We're like, it's good, but we're not going to tell anybody it's good, kind of sort of deal. Johnny Fescue had a question here. He said, Met Camifin.
Oops.
Can you, if you want to answer, I'll just tell him to hang on. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah. I'll answer it. Okay. The way that Camifin works is it enables the desirable turf grass to rapidly detoxify the fluazepop or fusilade that is co-applied with the recognition. It also has the property of making St. Augustine grass detoxify the trifloxysulfuron, because normally you put Monument by itself on St. Augustine, you run the risk of wiping that St. Augustine out completely. And the funny thing is that this is a boon for mismanaged St. Augustine lawns, because now there's a way to remove Bermuda grass from the St. Augustine safely. Whereas previously, you have Bermuda grass contaminating St. Augustine. You know what I'm going to say, Matt? Get a bulldozer.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people have played around with all kinds of wild ass tank mixes, with atrazine and other stuff to try and make headway on it.
Well,
not really a lot of.
I remember one. No, I remember one that worked, but is extremely illegal.
Hey, caller, we'll get right to you. 1 second.
Yeah, I remember one that worked for that. That was around, but then it involved Asulux, atrazine, Basagran, and Progress EC.
Yeah.
You remember that one, right, Matt?
Yeah. You don't hear Asulux a whole lot. That's an older chemistry. Caller, you're live.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Good. I was just in the Discord asking about what I think are disease issues, but I'm not sure.
Well, hang on. And, let's hop on over there, and we'll start taking a look at pics here. Is this Oak State Jones?
That's the one.
Whammy! All right, here. Let's see what you got going on. Give us a little rundown. That's funny. I was reading what you typed there. You're in Oklahoma, sandy soil. You got a little bit of cool season grass under the tree. Around 3/4 to an inch with an old reel mower. You got a little urea going down every 2 to 3 weeks. Got the majority of the weeds out. My main problem are the areas that are sort of gray, then white out and die or turn bright yellow. Most of the yard looks like this. Problem areas look like this. Oh shit, that's in your Bermuda grass. It's doing that, huh?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then later there's pictures of the cool season also kind of looks diseased. It looks good in the spring, of course, and then it's hot, it's humid. Starts
the
kind of
cool
looking
season
yellow.
This time of year doing that, does not shock me at all, right?
Sure.
It's blazing hot. I can expect that. But what the Bermuda should not be doing this. And one of the things I notice is that, in like for instance, I'll take the first picture of damage that you see. And on the outer areas, you have more of what I would call gray turf, right? And that gray, like once it reaches that point, and it's clear it's dead. In
Right.
the center there, you see it actually phasing out, so it's turning yellow before it's dying. As I zoom in on those particular areas, I'm not seeing what looks to be diseased lesions generating that kind of dieback, right? So in that yellow area, that, in my opinion, as of right now, not really knowing shit else, I would say that is not disease and that is insect related. Where are you on this, Ray?
I'm going to be concurring in that. Last time I saw turf grass patch out like this without lesions, I was facing down billbug. I was facing down billbug damage. And the reason why I say is because if I don't see the disease lesions, but then I see these small patches forming in the grass and the yellowing before it, that suggests to me that the billbugs got to the roots and the stems of the turf grass and ate. And by the way, billbug can hit both cool season grass, Bermuda grass, and zoysia.
Yeah, you get the
And let
hunting
me ask you,
billbug and zoysia, and that's a giant pain in the ass.
that's a hassle, Matt. I mean, that's a colossal pain. And let me ask you this, sir. What did you use as your grub preventative this spring? Or if you used a grub preventative?
So, I was not able to afford to buy a Celiprin, or I would definitely, based on what you guys have been talking about this past few months, that would be the chemical that I would use.
Go with, yeah.
So what I do have is imidacloprid, and I put it down, and I did get rain. I don't have irrigation, but it did get a good rain after I put it down. I put it down in June sometime. I don't remember the exact date. I wrote it down in my little notebook, but I did put that down in June and got good rain. I've also been putting down bifenthrin kind of monthly.
Bifenthrin, any kind of corrective insecticide in that regard, a thrin, right? A pyrethroid is probably not going to be effective on it. Now, I'll say this: the timing of your imidacloprid app, and I'm assuming these patches just started showing up.
I mean, they kind of. I feel like I had some winter kill, maybe, because there were big sections where in the spring it didn't really green up, but it's now finally filling in because we've actually gotten rain this summer. It's been hot, so that's all filled in. But I've had these little spots. They just they've been there since the spring, and like I didn't know if maybe that's the only reason I thought disease was maybe it was spring dead spot, but I don't know what I'm talking about. So
no,
it's guessing.
Man, I don't know. I'm highly convinced this is not disease. I'll say that because it looks like it was green in it, and then it patched out, right? Like when I'm looking at the dead grass, I can see the beginning of the plant where it emerges from the soil, and then the length of it, right? The length of that runner. In a couple of these pictures, I can kind of trace to death. That's on the yellow area. So normally you're not going to see the disease function that way. Not often,
right?
Sure. And so, but with the timing of it, that would be appropriate timing to provide adequate billbug control. Now, I assume you applied it coated on a granular, based on how you described getting rain after the application, or did you applied liquid?
No, I sprayed it.
Okay.
Sprayed it.
Yeah. And the reason why I have questions about efficacy on that is because the deal with applying imidacloprid as a spray is that when imidacloprid is out on the grass in sunlight, not irrigated in, the UV radiation just degrades it quick. Sunlight breaks down imidacloprid fast. In other words, if you apply imidacloprid, I literally want it to rain that night or the next day. I don't want it sitting on the grass for a week. And the other thing that I'm thinking about, because I happened to pop over to the Discord a second ago and look, and you have kind of sandy soil, right? Nice sandy soil.
Thing about I'm right by the Arkansas River.
The thing about imidacloprid in sandy soil is that it does not have the best staying power in the sand. It tends to run through or leach through pretty quick in sand. Versus if you had a more finely textured soil with a lot more clay in it, then if you had more clay, then the imidacloprid would stay longer. So that's just like the two things that I'm considering. And it's just that it's tough because you don't have irrigation. And
have you given it a tug test? Have you gone and pulled just to make sure it's not grubs?
Yeah.
It's
well,
way
it,
too
it
early.
Does come right up.
It does come up.
I have some in my front, and when I pull on this grass, it's just completely disintegrates. But it's also
and it just comes up in your finger. That's bill bug.
Like there's like a void in the soil. So like I have a pretty bad gopher problem too. And so I wondered if these spots were spots where they had completely tunneled out and like there's nothing for it to root in.
I mean, when you walk across it, is your foot sinking? Like if it had gotten to the point where there's nothing to root in, I mean, literally, if you stepped on it, I mean, you'd sink until it reached solid ground.
Some spots, yes. Some spots, no. And whenever I dig, I don't find grubs.
Yeah, I don't. I wouldn't. This time of year, right now, grubs is really out of the question. It wouldn't be a thing where you are. And the fact that it does pull out really easily, again, pointing towards bill bugs. The only other thing that I could think of this time of year would be, oh damn it, what is it called? We used to get them in Georgia, and mole crickets. Mole crickets would be the other one.
Mole cricket.
I would say
mole cricket is
doesn't necessarily look a lot like mole cricket damage, but could be. Mole cricket damage tends to be like really smaller, thinner, longer tunnels of sorts. What were you going to say, Ray?
And mole cricket needs a lot more water. It needs to be wetter. Whereas billbug, it don't care. Billbug will hit grass when it's drier. Yeah, that's the difference. Is that mole cricket needs a lot more moisture to survive because mole cricket is almost like say crayfish or shrimp.
Yeah.
You know, in that regard, but then this spotting and the fact that the grass comes up in his hands, that just says billbug, and when you have billbug, I mean, I don't have any real positive or easy to use options for this because at the point where you have active damage like this, Matt, this is Dilox.
Kind of,
this is Dilox right here.
Yeah.
I mean, and the unfortunate thing about the Dilox is that you're applying this Dilox as a soil drench.
Yeah.
In order to get it to work.
You know, Gardner Earth Guy has a great point too. Doing a soap flush. Have you ever done a soap flush before?
Yeah, I have.
Have you
this
ever
summer, but I have before.
Yeah, you know, and I think doing it in that area, what I would target is the yellow area, especially where it meets green or it looks like it's spreading into. So you want to get some of the area where there is no damage, and then the other area, you know, where it does have newer damage. And that's a quick, easy thing to see what comes to the surface and, you know, make a assessment of what it is basically.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the general good idea for insects besides grubs is a couple gallons of water and a couple drops of Dawn, and you just mix and then pour and see what comes out. I mean, seriously.
Okay.
Okay? I mean, because the other one that can be there and cause that kind of spotty damage too is like sod webworm when it's in its beginning stages.
Yeah, I think it would be more obvious if it was sod webworm, especially if you're spraying bifenthrin. I think you'd see them coming to the surface pretty
However,
quick
Matt,
after application.
you know, if somebody's using a lot of bifenthrin, they will give rise to resistant sod webworm.
That's true too. That is true.
Because you know that's what I face here in Hawaii is because bifenthrin and all of the pyrethroids are so misused and overused. The only thing that works on armyworm or sod webworm here is Dialox.
It's a bad day when you're limited to Dialox for that. Dude, do a soap flush and keep us posted in that thread if anything comes to the surface. And especially this late, you know, I say this late in the season, you know, is it worth is it worth trying to run down Dialox and, you know, making an expensive ass buy to treat, you know, a couple areas like this? I don't know. It may be one of those things, ride it out, and then you know what to prepare for next season. The other thing too is it probably wouldn't hurt to put a shovel in it, see if there's anything weird buried under there that you may not notice. For instance, like again, I've seen weird dieback occur. Was there a tree cut down there within the last 6 years?
No, it's just kind of right in the middle of open space. I mean, every time I dig, I find trash from the previous owners, so it wouldn't surprise me there could be something on there. I don't think, but I haven't dug on.
I would be expecting like a stump and a very degraded stump, right? And it'd be super obvious. And if you're not hitting anything like that, what happens is that as you get to a really advanced stage of decomposition with high woody materials like that, is it's composting at that point, right? And so you're hitting 130, 140, 150 degrees Fahrenheit subsurface because it's in its prime composting point. And that can create some weird things on the surface sometimes too. But yeah, do a soap flush and then we'll revisit from there. Because if it's nothing, then I don't know. We're really up a creek to start trying to figure out what's going on.
What would be the preventative, or like in the winter or springtime application for something like that, if that is what it is?
None. You wouldn't do it. You would
Oh.
about like you did. You're seeing it now, mid-July. Then I would probably make your application, early July or late June, somewhere in there. Mark this date down, or whatever date you feel like you started seeing it. Actually, the dieback actually occurring. And then, putting it 3 weeks in front of that probably wouldn't be a bad idea. And again, as a liquid, really timing that with a rain event too.
Is there something other than imidacloprid that would be better to use? I know y'all say that acelepryn.
No.
Okay.
And the only problem with
a good choice.
The only problem with acelepryn is that acelepryn is not particularly strong on the weevils. But what you could do if you have more weevils like billbug is you could hold out and try to get yourself tetrino rather than acelepryn. I mean that's like the advantage of tetrino, is that tetrino is stronger on the weevil type turf pests versus the acelepryn. However, the other benefit of that is that tetrino is also less costly to purchase and to apply. the price tag on that is a lot better, because I know that bottle of acelepryn is a tough thing to take. That's a hard pill to swallow.
If you've already got a midicloprid, use what you got. I wouldn't be chasing exotic AIs, for this one particular thing, unless you're just absolutely at a wit's end.
Okay.
All right.
Keep us posted, man. This is a good one.
Oh, well, I appreciate you guys a lot. I love listening. I don't get in the Discord as much as some of the others, but I really appreciate your integrity and your honesty and your expertise. I thank you for talking to guys like me.
Oh, you're more than welcome. We're so thankful that you listen to us get up here and ramble and be dickheads and assholes and all the fun stuff that we enjoy doing. So thank you.
It's a good laugh while I'm mowing.
Right.
Try to provide some level of entertainment while we rattle off the inanity that does come out of our mouth.
Yep. All right. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, brother. Have a good night. It is 10:53. We got time for one more call. There was Cam asked a question. He said, "Help with POA annua, Kentucky bluegrass lawn in Massachusetts. I've tried spraying prodiamine in September and early October. The POA keeps coming back. 100% sure it's annua." One, I'll tell you this, that if you're in Massachusetts, you probably need to be getting prodiamine down a hell of a lot earlier than September, October. I'd probably be like actually late July in that time frame. The other thing too is that there's probably a high degree of probability too that it's not dying completely. It's just going dormant and not
just
actually
hanging
dying.
on. Yeah.
It's one of those areas where annua can become a
Oh, I'm so glad we took one more call.
Hang on 1 second, caller. Caller, can you turn down us in the background, please? Thank you. So anyway, I think one of the other things I saw someone else mention was doing POA constrictor. Yeah, John Duncan mentioned ethifumicate. Exactly like you said, 2 weeks apart with the last app, right up against first frost. That's a good one, and you may have to repeat that in the spring too. That sometimes can happen. But yeah, it's one of those things that sometimes you can run into a situation. I had a friend of mine in Nasty Nate up in PA. Keeps running into situations where, like along the side of the house, POA annua never dies. It just stays there and stays in seed all summer long, and loses the majority of its color. And then as it starts to hit about late August again, all of a sudden it's back and banging, right? So, it's kind of the nature of the beast. Caller.
What up, dickheads and scumbags?
What are you doing? What you got going on, buddy?
Zach.
Hey, Zach.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Good, man. We've had an eventful night. I think we did a phenomenal job of accidentally leading one person over the proverbial deep end, and it is what it is. But welcome to the internet.
Yeah, well, Matt, when you want to talk defamation, contact me.
Is this your thing?
He's an attorney as well, so.
Zach, I will ping you offline. As you can imagine, with the Discord, there's been a lot of outpouring of support, and I'll loop you in at least things that are happening offline that I'm not sharing publicly, and we'll have a laugh about it.
Yeah, we will. And Jay Pink has my number, so get it from him.
Okay, I'll do it. 100%.
Yes, you will. I'll earn my bourbons in Louisville.
What you got going on?
Oh, yeah.
No, just one question. And I've talked to Ray about this because I've been doing this. I've been putting Hydrex with my ammonium sulfate for my app. But I'm hearing Hydrex is no longer available, or it's very limited.
Yes.
Oh, man.
And this is probably more for you, Matt, is what product can I put in in lieu of Hydrex other than like UMax? Is there anything else out there?
Yes. So there are alternatives. Everything is in crazy limited supply right now. I know I can help you get concentrate as a liquid. I have a friend of mine is in Nashville, Tennessee, and is into a lot of the more bizarre chemistries. Typically, he's going to deal with pros. And if anybody's out there is looking for, if you're in a relatively decent vicinity of me, you need, especially if you need like pesticides, whether that be, pre-emergence, weed controls, whatever. Holler at me about that, or you can go to them directly. That'd be Sigma Organics in Nashville, and there's lots of strange chemistries that they like to get into. That's kind of their thing. Is that if you want really cheap three-way, you can get it there, and if you want a really goosed up weird chemistry like an alternative to Hydrex, that's what they do. Aldo mentioned Infix is Helena's version. Infix has been pulled as well too, and so that's going to be in super limited supply. There's been purchasing of the patent that has taken place, and as a result of the patent ownership changing hands, it's created a void in the marketplace, and so the specific thing about it is the carrier that's used to ensure solid distribution throughout a water formulation, like when it's dissolved in water. And then the other way is for penetration of the prill, right? So if you're coating it on a granular, you have to you want it to penetrate as much as possible. You don't want it just sitting on the surface of the prill. So that piece of it's patented, and so that's why that patent purchasing has kind of created a void in the marketplace. But what you're looking for are the two AIs, right? One is DCD, which is dicyanamide, and then the other one is MBPT, which is in-butyl thiophosphoric something or another.
Thiophosphate, yeah.
Thiophosphate, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you want both of those, or especially the DCD. You can find some just NBPT derivatives that are out there, but you want to make sure you do have DCD in it. And Zach, when I'll text you after this, and I'll get you linked up with my guy.
Let's talk about everything. So.
Yeah. I'll because I can get you access to that chemistry. I know just doesn't have a shit ton of it, but if you need like less than say 275 gallons, then I can do that all day long.
Fine. Yep. Nice. Let's talk. Wade. Let's talk.
Cool. What else?
Okay.
What else you got?
That's it. I don't know if Ryan's. I've talked to Ray quite a bit. My pH management program is amazing.
Really?
Oh yeah, I've talked to Ray about it. Oh, my lawns that are people are saying they're screaming.
Yeah, the lawns have taken on a new.
Oh my god, it's amazing.
Life,
it's amazing.
And they stand out compared to the rest of the lawns in the neighborhood. Not on this program, don't they?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Look, when we were talking in Louisville, we were talking about the things to differentiate ourselves in the space, right?
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that you took that approach and it's converting for you. That is
it's awesome. It's
fucking
amazing.
Badass.
It's amazing. Well, and Ray knows this. I wouldn't have done it without, we had a big discussion in Louisville about staying in suspension, right? But with the tanks and putting the Xanthincum in it, it's been amazing. It's been amazing.
Man, that is so badass. That is so badass.
It's awesome. I hope I'm not charging cheap for it. I'm not giving it away, but it's a game changer for high-end clients that really give a shit. It's amazing.
Yeah, and think about how no one is doing that, right? And it immediately sets you apart from the competition. What I'm going to be curious about is as you move further along into this and you kind of reach homeostasis with it, right? Like, what trends that you saw previously do you no longer encounter, right? Like, I know out in your area, for instance, necrotic ring spot is a thing. I'm curious, will you start seeing declines in pressure of necrotic ring spot or dollar spot or whatever else? I don't know. I'm just throwing random shit against the wall, but I'm curious how that'll play out over the years.
It already has. One of my big clients has had it for years, and my guys, when they did it last week or two, well, they did it a couple weeks ago, and then they did his next launch treatment. Like, I still don't see it. The pressure's not coming through yet. By now, it usually is. But time's gonna tell, right? Time's gonna tell.
Sure.
Time's gonna tell, Zach. But then what I typically see is that when you do such a drastic alteration of pH, the disease pressure from your NRS and your summer patch can go down in as little as one season. One season, you already see the results. It's a big, huge difference. Yeah, and on top of that, it's doing a lot better than somebody half-heartedly throwing down azoxystrobin and expecting it to work.
Overseeding it with ryegrass.
Don't say that. That is just a crappy way to deal with it.
We've had that discussion, so.
Yeah, that's a chunk way to deal with that. No.
It's the cheap fix. It's the cheap fix.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's amazing. It's amazing. So.
Awesome.
Well, and remember, I mean, I talked to Ryan, I talked to you about it, Ray, but not you so much, Matt. Remember the hybrid Bermuda.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell yes.
Oh, yes, that's my next. But no, I love you guys, Matt. Hit me up. Let's talk.
10-4, we'll do. Thank you so much, Zach.
Okay,
you guys
Zach.
are awesome. We'll talk soon.
All right, we'll see you.
See ya.
We're gonna wrap this up with DeMay gone. We'll hop over to the after show for just a little bit. Patreon.com/burn-and-return if you want to check it out. It's where adults have adult conversations. We'll probably do a little bit of recap. First, I want to thank everybody that watches is part of the community, whether you're active or not. Is not important, but you tune in, you hear what we have to say, you listen to us, and when you have events like today take place where people clearly undergo mental health crises in front of you, it can get a little weird, especially when they start, making comments about your spouse and stuff. And a lot of times it does. It causes you to reevaluate. But I'll say this is that, because of the quality of people from all different sectors, industries, to the most bluest of blue collars, to the reddest of rednecks, to the whitest of white collars. It's just, man, all of y'all provide so much perspective, insight into the world, and support. And it makes this, regardless of what kind of insanity exists out there, so fucking worthwhile. And I'm just so fucking appreciative. I don't want 1 million subscribers. I don't want 1 million views on videos. I want to interact with fucking people like y'all, because that is it's fucking life changing, and it's very inspiring, and I'm so fucking appreciative. We're headed to the after show. Happy birthday to Ryan DeMay. You're 40 years old. May you have the next 60 years to be the angriest, orneriest asshole on the face of the planet, and give Ray a giant run for his money as being the crotchety old bastard of the show. And yeah,
Ryan will never do that. You know what Ryan's gonna be? Ryan is gonna be the naughty old man making dick jokes and ass jokes and laughing at everybody. And you know what? That's why I love Ryan, okay?
Exactly.
That's what makes him terrific.
All right, everybody. I love y'all. Bye.